It is a cool, damp morning here at New York's Watkins Glen International Raceway, where today the TC America touring cars take to the track for their 10th of 14 rounds of this 2019 season. We are in to the final championship battle throws in the field, making its way out for their pace and parade lap here. And again, this weekend is presented by CrowdStrike. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, Calvin Fish alongside. But first, let's get right down to pit lane and find out what's going on from the third member of our broadcast crew, Ryan Marine. Welcome.
Thank you, Greg. Fascinating back row of the grid here for race 2 today. You don't get that every day, but Toby Grahovic and his classic BMW crew recovered from a lap 1 crash in race 1 yesterday to get his BMW back out on track late in the race yesterday. Further repairs overnight to make sure that car was ready to go here in race number 2. How about the car starting next to him? Greg Nitzkowski had a heavy crash yesterday. In fact, could not get that car repaired in time for race 2, so he goes over to Toby Grahovic, says, hey, do you have a spare car? And they work it out. He will be starting alongside Toby in a spare classic BMW car. That should be a fascinating story to watch as well. And finally, all eyes on the skies. We've got some little bit of raindrops, a little bit of precipitation coming down. There's a chance for rain throughout the day. We'll see if it comes during this 40-minute race, but plenty of stories to keep an eye on today, guys.
Boy, aren't there, though. Thanks very much for those updates, Ryan. And I think, Calvin, one of the big stories is involving our pole sitter, Johann Schwartz, just because of the points margin he has.
Yeah, it really got blown out there yesterday, as Ryan alluded to, with Toby Grahovic's incident on the early lap there. He's now got a 59-point deficit. We're in round 10 of 14, so it's a big weekend for Johann potentially. He starts from the pole here today, but let's watch Paul Terry. He won yesterday's race, had monster speed with that Nissan, so can he sweep the weekend? He's got a little bit of work to do. Cooler conditions. You can see overcast skies. We're not going to get the track temperature up. The ambient's not a lot different to yesterday. We're still in the high 50s, but I think that track may take a little time to get into its sweet spot.
There are some other drivers that had some good laps, but in the race, Jeff Rica, although he didn't finish in the top 5, just outside in 6th, put in a great lap, Cal, starts alongside Schwartz in the front row. And Jeff hasn't raced since VIR, but when he runs, he is fast, and he could be a little bit of a wrench in the works today.
He could. He was very fast at the tail end of the race yesterday, really started to get into a groove. Looks like the Hyundai hung on there very well in terms of the tire degradation. He should be quick here today off the front row. All
right, so they're out on their pace and formation lap, and racing will commence here for round 10 in just a little bit here at Watkins Glen. Getting confirmation from race control, 1 formation lap, and they are going to go racing. And that formation lap is about to complete here. Lights out in the safety car. We're ready to go racing. Round 10 of the TC America touring cars from the SRO America Championship. And watch for that safety vehicle. He'll scoot away just a little bit, and Johann Schwartz will bring this field up to the green flag for 40 minutes of racing. And you had a good point. The ambient temperature is not so bad. The track, there was rain this morning, but it doesn't look too bad now. But everybody's still, I would think, going to be very careful. Field looks great as the safety car is in. And Johann Schwartz for Rooster Hall Racing in the BMW. Oh, did he get a great start? Like Enrica just wasn't quite ready to go. And up the inside comes Johann's teammate, Steve Strymer.
He does. Strymer, a nice start there. Just trying to slot in. Hopefully he can have a nice clean lap, unlike yesterday, but certainly had speed and pace. Just needs a cleaner start. The 2 classic BMWs sweep around each other there through turn 1.
Boy, and Paul Terry, you said keep an eye on him. Well, he's gone from 5th to 4th already on that start as he slots into that 4th spot in that black Nissan with the blue side stripes. As we go back, and we would expect to see Toby Grahovic kind of auguring his way through the field, at least in the first couple of laps.
You would think so. Seeing some moves there at the tail end of the pack. You have to thread the needle up through the S's, particularly when the tires are relatively cold. Got to be careful here. 3 wide. They're into the brake zone. They make it work somehow.
Yeah, and the big issue when you're 3 wide is the guy who's alongside you might see you, but the guy that's in front, you may not recognize quite that you're there and turn in. Everybody's sneaking through unscathed. Maybe some good fortune.
And on these opening laps, Greg, particularly in these conditions, a little touch without the tire temperature being right up can really throw a spanner in the works in terms of going for a ride. Schwartz up front, teammate. He's got a wingman right behind him in Steve Strymer.
Well, that's got to be hugely comforting for him. There's a look at the 94 of Chandler Hull, who had a great race yesterday, ended up with a solid 7th place finish. But the interesting story for him was he just didn't get the race lap he wanted to set the grid here. He's got a little bit of work to do once again.
Yeah, he faded a little bit yesterday. Got towards the podium finishes early in the going and then just faded back a little bit. And then the important factor is that fast lap. So he's got a lot of work to do here today.
Number 20 of Robert Nimkoff, who had a great run yesterday, finished on the podium, but same story, had a great race but didn't get that fast lap, so he's mired back a little bit. But he did pretty much the same thing yesterday, able to work his way up through the pack. He's proven this year he is a crafty racer.
He really is. I'm a little surprised that Terry's not being able to hang with his top 3 right now. Maybe he's just started on his tire pressure a little bit lower, just waiting for the car to come to him a little bit. He demonstrated awesome pace here yesterday in the victory.
And Hannah Zeller's also running for the
lock up there,
big bit of lockup. That was Federal, the number 23. That's the Tech Sport Nissan. Just running a little wide as a result of that lockup. Joseph starting back in the 7th spot, finished 5th in yesterday's race. Strymer getting a heck of a run. Ducks to the inside on Schwartz.
He's got that inside line. How aggressive does he want to be on his teammate? Backs out of it. Johan sweeps across, takes the apex. Look at Jeff Ricker. He's got pace there in that Genesis.
He is, as you pointed out, he generally tends to get a little quicker as the race unfolds. So if he's this racy early, that can get everybody's attention here at the sharp end of things. The top 3, as you said, have drawn away by about 2 seconds over Terry. Then it is Chris Evans and Jacob Ruud. Again, hasn't raced in this championship this season until this event, and he was very quick yesterday in that 6 car on your screen, the blue, multiple blue colored BMW.
Schreiber looks like his car's a little bit sharper at this stage of the game than his team leader there and championship leader. Great to see Jeff Ricker back on track. Had that huge incident at VIR early in the championship season. Had a concussion, had to sit out for several weeks and finally got the all clear. Great to see him back and running at the sharp end once again.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great competitor whenever we get a chance to see him here. Just taking a look here, Terry, Evans, and Ruud are the next group of 3 right there. Then a little bit of a gap back to Tom Capizzi right there, just coming into frame in the Auto Technic, the white, gray, and orange trimmed machine. And behind him now, Federal is dropping. He is fallen way back.
And that Nissan has demonstrated blistering pace here this weekend. Eric Powell did some development with that car. He said, watch out for the car. And certainly yesterday, Joseph was really quick. Didn't get the podium result that we were expecting. And having problems early here today. Nice move down to the inside. Oh, a little touch there on Terry. As Evans goes through. Terry's car just doesn't seem to have the pace it had yesterday, Greg.
No, it doesn't. It just doesn't, as you put it, it doesn't look as crisp at this stage. And it was a nice move by Evans. I think just kind of surprised Terry a little bit. And just wanted to point out also, we have Hannah Zellers, who made her first ever
Rick
start.
is in trouble.
Oh, he's slow, yes.
Side by side with the Rooster Hall teammates. But Rick, momentarily at least, seems like he's got a bit of pace back with the car. So I'm not sure if it's just a minor momentary glitch where he lost power or something, but he's back on it now.
Yeah, he is right on the back bumper now of Evans. I wonder what happened there. Maybe just missed a shift coming up the hill. Something along those lines. Then Terry, but that has backed a lot of people up, and now right on the back of Jacob Ruud in that multi-hued blue car now is Capizzi. So we've got a 5-car battle at this stage for this 4th spot, or 3rd spot, really. See if Rika can do anything with him here. And no. Evans hanging on, doing a very nice job holding on to that 3rd spot here with just a couple of laps down at Watkins Glen. Cameron Evans continues to hang on to a tenuous 3rd place here. He got through, but both Rika and Terry have picked the pace back up again. And Evans in that blue and white BMW at the front end of this queue, the Copart Bimmer World entry, is hanging on, but losing time to that duo up front. They are flying.
They really are. A bit of a head scratcher right now in terms of understanding, A, why Terry didn't have immediate pace in this race, and why momentarily at least Jeff Ricker lost that spot. Terry now looks like he's got some pace, squeezes Ricker at apex. It's like he's suddenly lit the torch in that Nissan.
Yeah, Rica just doesn't look like the car is getting out of the corners very well. Something's
lost
just
a
not
gear
right.
or something low down.
So he's dropping again now. 3-4 places here, so problems early for Jeff Rica. Let's check in with Ryan in pit lane.
Checked in with the tech sport team about problems potentially for Joe Federo. They're not 100% sure yet, but it sounds like possibly something with the ABS is what he's dealing with, which might explain why he's dropped back a little bit and not shown the kind of pace we were expecting.
All right, thanks very much. That's been something they've been dealing with most of the season here. And as you said, Cal, it sounds like Terry finally has found some pace and pulled the trigger, and he went around Evans now. Yeah.
It's like a different car from the first couple of laps. He was just really just trying to get some tire temperature up and just ease into this race, but he's let the two BMWs scamper off a little bit, like 3 seconds behind, but the pace he's shown here and cutting up to that third position looked pretty promising in terms of him being able to make that catch up. Ricky just pretty strong through this section. It's just when he comes out of turn 1 and accelerates up through the S's, something going on with that race car.
Yeah, down to the inside of Capizzi. And right behind Capizzi, having a great race in her first weekend of racing in the SRO America category, is Hannah Zellers, who's running the 06 car and doing an absolutely superb run. It started in 9th, has worked her way up into 8th, and is showing some really solid pace here. She's done a little Celine Cup racing this year, but this is her first start in SRO America World Challenge action, and doing a great job keeping somebody like Robert Nimkoff and Chandler Hull behind her here. This is confusing, isn't it, with Rica, because he has pace, then it just seems to lose it a little bit.
Terry, new fast lap of the race at 203.5. The leaders are running the low 4s, so Terry's going to be able to cut into that gap pretty quickly. You'd think within about 5 laps he could maybe breathe right on the tail. Certainly enough time left on the board.
Well, it was interesting, the dynamic yesterday, wasn't it, with Johan when Terry started to really come after him. And it was, you know, this is it a big picture thinking moment. And when he finally made the move, Schwartz didn't fight him all that aggressively at all. And might be thinking about that again. Rica once again now trying to mount the charge to come back after falling back through the order, and he suddenly has pretty good speed again here. He's run down Jacob Rude, who was right on the back of Evans here, as these are the two leaders, as Schwartz and Streimer, but that margin, which had ballooned up pretty good, is down to under half a second, Cal.
Yes, it's pretty impressive here what we're seeing in terms of it's a really confusing race, actually, to watch some of these cars in terms of the pace. I mean, Terry looked to be really struggling in those early laps. Now his car has literally come alive. He's cutting into that gap to the leaders really quickly, but look at the throng behind him. Battle for 4th, 5th on back. It's compacting and intensifying.
Yeah, and sort of the yo-yo speed we're seeing out of Rica. It's there, it's not, it's there, it's not. Right now it seems to be there because he's starting to attack on the number 810 of Jacob Rude once again. There goes Evans, then Rude, and the Gen Racer Genesis, that maroon and white entry of Rica. And a little bit of a gap back to Capizzi and Sellers. So back onto the front straight, and this time it looks like Rica gets through that corner with fairly good pace. Let's get back down to pit lane and Ryan.
Sounds like what he's dealing with, guys, is a gear linkage issue. That's what the team told me, at least, and it seems like it's mostly troubling him at the exit of turn number 1, which leads to a pretty long full throttle section up through the S's and towards the bus stop. So that leaves him a bit of a sitting duck there. The team is not concerned about it ending his race prematurely or anything like that, but it is something he's going to have to deal with for the rest of the race.
All right, thanks very much. And it looks like he's figured out a drive around because he got through one pretty well there. And as Jacob Rude took a late move down to the inside of Evans, Evans, a beautiful move to just sort of squeeze him and shut the door without cutting across him. But now Rude gets through.
Good job by Jeff Ricker there in terms of bailing out of that situation and not trying to force it. So that would explain the situation perfectly in terms of him suddenly having no pace up through the S's and being a bit of a sitting duck. So he's probably just got to be a little bit smoother and slower with that shifting.
And behind them, just seeing Hannah Zellers showing the nose to the inside of Tom Capizzi there in the Auto Technique, the white, gray, and orange detail car. Right behind is Hannah. She looked down the inside. Not a spot you can usually make it work too well, coming down into the laces of the boot, but certainly showing that she's ready to go racing here. Then it's Nimkoff behind her, and then Hull. I think Grahovic, he just hasn't made a lot of ground through the track, although he has set fast race lap, Cal.
Yeah, which is great for Toby because he didn't have pace in qualifying, always really able to demonstrate that yesterday, of course, but he's got a gaggle of BMWs he's got to cut his way through here to get into the big points.
Boy, and Zeller, speaking of gaggle of BMWs, she just sliced underneath Capizzi. That puts her up into 7th. So, solid run. There is Nimkoff. Behind him is Chandler Hull in the second of the Copart Bimmer World entries. And then it's Grahovic right there. Just has not found that speed.
Nice job by Zellers there, just really trying to clear this pack and might have some more pace potentially if she doesn't have to defend. Oh, that's a late one.
Yep, that's Nimkoff on his teammate Capizzi. Late but decisive, wasn't it?
That is awesome.
Now Capizzi, they got a little bit better exit. Does he have the room to get to the inside? They touch. Both of them have a big moment, a big wiggle. Doesn't change and affect the run order here, but now suddenly they have lost touch, and Hannah Zellers has a big, big gap.
You can see Grahovic there just said, I don't want any part of that.
Exactly.
You boys sort it out.
So lots of action in the mid-pack of this race here. There is Rude continuing to lead Evans and Ricka. That's 4th, 5th, and 6th. And up front, it is Schwartz still leading from Strymer, but Terry has trimmed that margin to but 2 seconds adrift. And here's a look at what unfolded between the two Auto Technic cars. And you can see Capizzi there, just a little touch to Nimkoff's right rear, Cal.
Great save there by Nimkoff, and the pack right behind them just sort of like backing out of it. Not making a difficult situation worse. Rickes here just needs to get back into a groove. It seems like his car is now consistent in terms of its performance, and he's shown better pace than the position he is in, so he's just got to figure out a way to try and cut through this. Still plenty of time on the board here, but the leaders are obviously getting away. Terry was the only driver in the 3s, but now the leaders have responded with Strymer and Terry running pretty much identical laps, and Johan, the leader, only a couple of tenths off them.
There you see it, Schwartz, then the yellow entry of Strymer, and here is Terry in the Nissan. The gap last time was 1/4 of a second. I think that may have even opened up a smidge in that last lap here. Let's see, yeah, back up to almost 1/2 a second, Cal.
Well, Schwartz' new fast lap of the day.
Yep.
2:03.2, so his car is finding the sweet spot, or he can see the pressure potentially coming from Terry and wants to maintain that gap. Rick is getting off turn 1 okay now.
He is, he is. Well, I'll tell you something that's impressing me here, watching that attack earlier by Jacob Ruud on Evans down into 1. He later got him, but Evans, he is very comfortable just closing that door unless you are all the way alongside. Has a lot of faith in the guys behind him. And, they're recognizing it as well. It's fun to watch, but boy, Eureka got a run here. Looks to the inside. Can he get it done into the inner loop? He does.
He does a nice job. You could sense there was more commitment on that one.
Yes.
It's go time.
Coming up on the halfway point in this 10th round of the championship. And again, Grahovic has had set the fastest race lap until Schwartz just took it away, but even with that speed, he's not able to move up into the top 10 yet.
Well, that just shows how competitive this field is. Every position is hard fought. Toby treats this field with a lot of respect too, in terms of not making it too aggressive in those moves. But it's a big championship weekend for Johan Schwartz and his nearest pursuer, Toby Grahovic, very much on the back foot here after the crash yesterday.
Look at that behind this battle. We've got cars 3 abreast. briefly here as they head down into turn 8, and that is that battle for 7th that Hannah Zellers holds in the 06 with Nimkoff and Capizzi. Binders, well, there it is. That's Hannah in that 06, the Dynamic Racing Solutions BMW. Ooh, very wide run there by Capizzi.
Just keeps it together. There wasn't much margin left there for.
And there is Chandler Hull as that wraps up your top 10. Hannah Zellers continues to hang on to the 7th spot, but under pressure now again from Robert Nimkoff. He shows the nose down into turn 1, not close enough. Hannah taking it very deep on the brakes.
Nimkoff is certainly committed here, so I think this battle will re-engage here shortly.
Yeah, he had such a good run yesterday in terms of racing with that podium finish. Didn't quite get the time he wanted, but he certainly has speed.
Terry, a new fast lap, as you just saw there, 203.20. But he was cutting into that margin up front at a rapid rate. Now it's slowed down. Look at this move. Nimkoff down to the inside. Zellers doesn't give it to him, but it's very slow there. Has to cut across the grass.
Yep, she took the bait. I think he sold her a little bit of a dummy there, and she just carried a little bit too much pace in.
Wisely.
That allowed both he and Capizzi to go through.
She handled it nicely. She didn't ask for too much from the race car, just rode it out, settles back in, has to regroup here.
Let's go back, take another look at it, Cal.
Just took that car in super deep, couldn't get it turned, then she's got dirt on the tires. Everyone takes advantage of the situation.
And Chandler Hull even cut down underneath, exiting the inner loop, and was able to sneak through as well. So that's a tough break for Zellers, who will drop now from 7th to 10th. But that's a lesson that everybody at some point learns the hard way, I think, with the inner loop here at Watkins Glen. And you bank that away, and you know in the future what not to do through there, that's for sure.
Well, you end up, when you defend like that, in a position you're not sure about. You're not comfortable with running the curbs in that manner if you haven't done it before. And I think she did the right thing just in bailing out of it and just regrouping and getting a bit of a reset here.
Here's that group, but you noticed up front of them in the 4th spot, Jacob Ruud in that multi-blue hued 810. Ricka has caught him now and is putting some pretty significant pressure on.
Terry definitely cutting into that gap there to Stryber. Now it's down to just over a second as Grahovic continues to work hard to get around Brummond here.
Yeah, he just cannot figure out a way to get through. I mean, Toby, a former champion in this category, came in here 2nd in the points. This has just been
Here we go for the lead. Strymer's looking.
He sure is.
I think he senses that Terry's on a bit of a charge behind. He's starting to put the pressure back on his team leader here.
Terry, he had to back off for just a little bit because he got to a half second, then it opened up to 1.8. Now he's got it trimmed down again, Cal.
And Rick has got around for position there. He's got around Ruud for 4th.
Yeah, absolutely he did. So Rick is working that charge again. But yeah, Terry is coming after him big time now. That 203 flat.
I'm curious to see what sort of lap time Rick can put together. Now he's cleared that traffic, sorted out the gear selection issues possibly.
At least figured out a good workaround. Yeah. All right, here's that top 3 heading down into the heel of the boot, turn 8.
Great run by Steve Strymer here. He had a quick car yesterday, unfortunately got turned there coming out of the toe on the opening lap. It was impressive on his charge back through.
And ended up 8th, but yeah, absolutely right. He and Capizzi having that little come together. Passed just under halfway.
I think this next lap is going to show us a lot in terms of the chases here on Johann Schwartz and Strymer.
Yes.
If Ricker doesn't have to defend his line, he may have some pace there potentially to show us.
Looking to see what that margin is, and yep, now Terry is but a second behind Strymer and about a second and a half now off of Schwartz. Check into pit lane, right?
Well, Jeff Ricca just took the 4th place that time by. The crew was pretty excited about it, that's for sure. They just gave him a nice round of applause. I checked in to see if indeed he had found a drive around to the problem, and they said yes. He's figured out the sweet spot, making that gear shift, so they should be good to go for the rest of the way. They're pretty confident, and that car is showing a lot of pace.
Yeah, it certainly is. Matter of fact, that last lap, his personal best, a 2:03.09. And that is the 2nd fastest lap of the race compared to only Terry's 2:03.08. So you were right, Cal. Once he got free and clear, he's got speed.
Yeah, and he's starting to get back into a rhythm here. 18 minutes left. Can he catch that lead trio and start knocking on the door of the podium?
Still in 5th is the 8:10 of Ruud. Then Evans sits 6th, Nimkoff 7th, Capizzi 8th, Hull 9th, and Hannah Zeller sits in the 10th spot. Strymer Johan cannot shake him.
Terry's faded here a little bit. He definitely looks further back than he was.
Yeah.
Hasn't been a good lap for Paul Terry.
Well, I wonder if when he charges and closes up on him, if he just overstresses these Pirelli P0s just a little bit, loses some grip, has to back off, because he did that before, caught him, then had to back off for a minute, then threw in that 2:03 flat, came right back after him again.
He had a poor middle sector on that lap, about a second off in just that sector alone. Have to see if that follows in tune with that pace into sector 3 in the finish of this lap. He's definitely dropping back quite a ways here. Wonder if he's got an issue.
So as they cross the line, it's Schwartz and Strymer, pretty much the same distance between them, but between the two of them and Terry, that margin now has opened back up again to almost 3 seconds. Paul Terry in that rear Nissan, Cal, looks to be struggling just a little bit. That last lap, he dropped well off, turning a 2:05.6. Meanwhile, Rick had just turned fast lap of the race at a 2:03.07.
Yeah, this could be a battle for that podium position unless Terry can sort out his issues. He's got a very fast charging Jeff Ricker behind him, and his car is ailing a little bit.
Sounds good as it heads down into the inner loop.
Beautiful flow through that inner loop there for Johan and his teammate right behind him. Look at Jeff Ricker. He has pace.
Yes, he does.
He has big pace.
And Ruud just set his personal best at a 2:03.4. And again, if Terry has some sort of an issue that keeps him in the 2:05 range.
And he was slow in the first sector again, so something definitely amiss that he's dealing with in that Nissan right now. Ricker is ever closer.
Down into the toe. The legendary boot here at Watkins Glen. You give it a boot full coming out of it, don't you? This is a long run down into the heel.
Taking a close look at the bodywork here, see if there's any kind of aero issue that may be affecting him. I mean, I'm surprised that he'd be slow in sector 1 as well, which is really all about power and acceleration. Other than turn 1, you're just accelerating up through the S's. He has definitely fallen back into the clutches of Jeff Ricker.
Yeah, already at this point in this lap, he's lost another half second to Schwartz and Strymer. Something definitely not right. And yeah, Rick is now. It's a matter of car lengths, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the key is going to be how quickly Jeff Ricker can deal with Paul Terry, because if he has to wait and be patient, suddenly Ruud is going to be right with them. Ruud is quicker than Terry at the moment as well.
And then lurking in the background is the 82 Copart Bimmer World entry right there, that white and blue machine of Evans. Behind him, this Auto Technic entry with the green highlights of Nimkoff. And then this battle, Capizzi, Hull, Sellers, and Grahovic now is up into 11th.
Ricker just hammered in the first 2:02 lap of the day at 2:02.8.
And that margin is less than a second off of Terry, and Terry now is almost 3.5 back of Strymer. But Strymer's starting to feel his oats again as well, and Ricky is coming after Terry in the battle for third. Paul Terry hanging on now to the third place in the 33 Reardon Nissan, as Jeff Ricken, the number 78 Gen Racer Genesis Coupe, Cal, is easily right now fastest car on the track.
He is, but it may just be my imagination, but it looks like Paul Terry's car's come to life again.
As you said, this is a confusing race on certain levels. We got the answer on the Ricca car, but a little confusing about this ebb and flow that Terry seems to be dealing with.
Well, he started off the race a moderate pace, let's put it that way. Then he came alive and caught the leaders. Then he just backed off for 2 laps, and now he seems to have pace again.
Yeah, and that last lap he turned, it was back into the 204s, a low 204, not quite the 202 of Ricca or the low 203s of some of the others.
His sector times look good though again. He was basically losing about half a second per sector, and now he's run sector times equivalent to the leaders.
Well, as you said now, Ricca has caught him. How quick can he deal with him, as you put it, and not let Ruud join this battle?
Well, if we're confused, I'm sure Jeff Ricca is. It's like, what's going on? I was catching
Exactly.
him gangbusters, and now he's running the same pace as me. So he suddenly run a 2:03.9. He's up in the 5s just 2 laps ago.
Yeah, that's very confusing. And Ruud just continually is now setting his personal best. That's his 3rd one in a row. Has turned to 2:03.29.
Strymer, big draft here onto the back straightaway. Johan's going to have to take that inside line, make him go the long way around.
And Strymer realizing not quite there. Ooh, big rotation there, though, by Johan.
Steve's car just looks really hooked up. I think the
it
balance
does.
on his car is slightly better than his team leader.
Now Ricca on the rear deck of Terry in this battle for 3rd.
Ruud is quick. Ruud is quicker than the 2 cars in front of him on that last lap. A big battle for that 3rd place on the podium.
Well, the problem for Ricca, for all the speed he's got, once he gets to the rear deck of Terry, until he gets through, he's got to pretty much run Terry's speed. So, and that is indeed, you're right, Ruud is closing in a big hurry, isn't he? This could well be a 3-car battle for 3rd here.
Terry's car is definitely not off song like it was 2 or 3 laps ago, but he doesn't seem to have quite the edge in pace that Ricca has, or now Ruud.
Tightest turn on the track. Turn 9, rejoining at the chute, and now into 10. Very daunting and quick turn 11.
I love the rhythm through this section.
Yeah.
Just float monster speed here. This racetrack has just got so much grip, particularly in these cool conditions.
Looking at who was quick in that one, and nobody into the 202s on that lap, as we may have suspected.
Ruud's still the quickest of the top 5 right now, as he's making an impression late in the going here. Just over 10 minutes to run.
Oh, look at the run Ricca's got here.
Sometimes it's where you're having to grab gears, as those little plateaus as you come up through the S's. Terry protects the inside line. That's going to compromise their lap time here as Ricca looks to the outside, not far enough alongside to make that move stick. Terry's fighting like he's got a healthy race car to get to the checkered flag. He's not just moving over and letting it go.
It's a very good point. But now Ricca is within just a few car lengths as well.
Oh, big mistake there by Ruud. Really missed the turn and has to scramble to get it back together.
Good news for Ruud is he's got a fair margin right now of almost 3 seconds back to Evans. That'll evaporate in a hurry if you keep making little mistakes like that. And Hannah Zeller's down into the pits. That's unfortunate after what had been a great run. Looking at that right rear corner.
Yeah, Ruud did a nice job recovering that entry down in there in the chute down into turn 6. If you get a little bit over rotation, if you're trying to charge the corner, you suddenly on the brakes, you have to release it, and that puts you wide a little bit. Just caught it. We did a camera cut there that he's really wide on the entry.
Let's go back and take a look at what may have occurred for Hannah into the bus stop. Oh.
Grahovic trying to stay out of trouble. I think it's Toby into the side of the car ultimately. I'm not sure exactly how it evolved before that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. She really had a strong run going. And ended up caught behind that signboard and didn't see if she actually tapped that barrier back there or not. Terry running really wide at the exit of 1. Of course, that allows you to carry a little bit of speed. But now let's see if Rick is able to find that draft a little bit more in the sweet spot and make that move a bit sooner.
Oh, Terry gives him a lane. That was a mistake by Paul Terry. He should have closed that door a little bit more. They're really close. They almost touched there as they head into the brake zone. Ricker clears him. He's up to 3rd. Terry tries to come back at him.
Boy, Ricker placed that car perfectly, didn't he? Both entering it and exiting it to make sure Terry didn't have any kind of counter move.
Good clean racing there, though. I thought Paul Terry, recognizing that Ricker had the big toe up through the S's, would have closed that inside lane off.
But again, that little bit of racing for them has allowed Ruud to close back in. Up front, Shorts and Strymer still separated by about 3/10 of a second, and Terry's not giving up. He is on it here.
The car looks really good at certain stages of this race and certain parts of this racetrack. It really hooks up there through the toe. Can carve the corner, keep it right down on that apex, and accelerate off with good traction.
Let's take a look at it one more time, Cal.
Yeah, I thought Terry would have closed that door. He thought about it, and then it was too late. Rick had already got his car alongside, and there's nothing you can do. Tries to squeeze him a little bit. They almost touch, but good, clean, hard racing.
So with that now, it is Schwartz and Strymer continuing to run 1-2, but Jeff Ricca has moved his way up into the 3rd spot. Ricca, Terry, and Ruud, 3rd, 4th, and 5th as they come by. Start finish here with about 6.5 minutes left in this 10th round of the TC America Touring Car Championship. For SRO Motorsports America here at Watkins Glen, presented by CrowdStrike. And Strymer, no matter what Schwartz does, Strymer's just glued to him, isn't he?
He is, shown his team leader, championship leader, a lot of respect here in terms of recognizing he has a slightly faster car but not forcing the issue. And Johan's such a pro, really just hitting his marks. It's so difficult to entice Strymer to think about a move even. I just think that Steve's car has been better hook up this weekend. It's got a better balance than Johan, but Johan's had the track position and is holding it.
Just keeping an eye on what Terry's times are here. Not quite as quick as Ricca's. Watch him right there. He is able to stay right with him, though. Meanwhile, Strymer, as you said, carving up through the toe of the boot here. Both of those guys running for Rooster Hall, then Ricca and Terry. They look fairly even in a straight line, don't they?
Yes. Seems like Jeff's now trying to charge the corners a little bit. The front end seems to be giving up on that Genesis. Seems like when he's asking for a little bit more pace, balance is not there for him.
Ricca continues to hang on to his 3rd spot, although Terry continuing to stay close enough to be a little uncomfortable for Jeff. Little rotation there by Jeff as he turned into 11, Cal.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to figure out the balance, how he can bring a bit more speed out of this car, maybe chase down the leaders, but time is not on his side. As you can see, we're under 5 minutes to go, and the gap to Steve Strymer is now at 2.3 seconds.
Terry.
Oh, look at Terry. Talk about attack.
And that lap by Terry was his personal best, so he got down to the 202s, Cal, so whatever is going on with that car, he too has figured out a way to get speed out of it once again.
Boy, did he get to power early as Strymer continues to put the pressure on Johann Schwartz here. He just leapt through turn 1 and bounced over the exit curb. You typically kind of gradually feed the car over there. He attacked it. Beautiful drive by both of these leaders. Johan just inch perfect. Strymer, beautiful balance here today. Great pace. I think if he had the lead, he could probably take off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's fairly effortless for him to be able to stay right with Schwartz here. That car does seem pretty hooked up as we're into our final 3.5 minutes. There's the Rooster Hall crew, Eric and the gang. And one of the neat things for, you see the West Virginia University on the side of Johan's car is very strong support from West Virginia University and their SAE program, and they actually have a couple of SAE engineering students embedded in the crew, as they have ever since that program came together. You'll see that car at West Virginia football games and off weekends, but they're really a serious part of the program. Johan giving it a run.
Well, he's got a great group that he's put together, got a lot of support from Instrumart, so always tries to put on a great show. Great little team. Just a shout out to Richard Zullman, who's not competing at the moment. We're looking forward to seeing him back in our paddock, but meanwhile his two teammates are going hard at it for the victory here.
And it's getting a report from Ryan that he said Rooster Hall has said, nope, no team orders. They're both free to go race. Just the normal caveat, your teammates don't hit each other, but you go ahead and race hard. And just wanted to mention too, for Johan, they've got a long-time sponsor, Instrumart, and they've got some guests here today, so just wanted to say hello to them. I'm sure they're watching here in the stream. Strymer taking a solid look here once again. It's just never quite close enough to be able to make that move, but Rickett now
is right there. Fastest lap of the race on the last go-round at 202.8, and with these two leaders jockeying for position, has allowed Rickett to get a big run. I think there's a lap and a half to go. I think we'll see a white flag next time by, so there is time on the clock.
Well, and Rick is making time in a hurry. He trimmed that margin incredibly quickly. It's down to, at the line it was 1.7, and it's now down to just a couple of car lengths.
I could see him starting to try to roll more apex speed in a couple of the corners, and the front end seemed to be giving up on him, and he's just figured out a way to balance that car now, and it's resulting in excellent lap time late in the going.
Johan, a little bit of breathing room, 3 car lengths or so back to Strymer.
Not sure if they can talk to each other in their cars, but they certainly need to relate to Johan. Like, Rickett is coming. He is right there on our tail. We have to keep going, boss. Don't back me up too much.
All right, looking for the white flag this time by. As Johan carves through turn 10. And it's a 3-car battle.
Well, I don't think Johan's getting through turn 1 particularly well. I think Strymer squares off the corner a little bit better, what I've seen the last couple of laps anyway. So I think the key here, so they don't come under too much pressure, is that Johan Schwartz has to get good exit speed off of turn 1, because Rick is going to go after him. He's going to get a double punch in the air with those 2 BMWs in front of him. Johan does.
Yeah, and the Gen Racer crew obviously urging Jeff on here. He didn't get through turn 1 quite as well as the 2 Rooster Hall BMWs.
He didn't. I thought it was going to be the opposite way around.
Yeah. Oh, but Strymer got a great run.
Thought I could hear a little bobble there.
Yeah.
Heard a misfire. I'm not sure if it was coming from the camera from Rickett's car. But he's definitely backed up here, hasn't he?
Yep. All right, last time through the inner loop. And Johan just showing his drifting prowess through there, and Strymer, as you pointed out, just stuck. Strymer in the Strymer sheet metal entry.
I really feel that Rickett had a little bobble there accelerating up the hill that time.
Yeah. I heard that too, and I think that could have been him. So certainly he didn't get the run he has.
Terry's right there. Look at this. Top 5 covered by under 4 seconds.
Up through the toe for the last time. Strymer, this is as close as he's been out of the toe.
He's going to think about it. Johan protects to the inside. Seems like Steve's just content to sit there, not try and be too forceful.
Oh, look at Terry attacking on Rickett for 3rd.
Yeah, I think Ricketts got some drama going on here on this last
lap. We battle for the lead, battle for the final podium spot. 2 corners to go.
You know, Terry's
here
gonna
at
go
Watkins
for it. He looks to
Glen.
the inside.
Oh, he dives for it, Cal.
He takes it. I think Ricker's car is ailing a little bit here.
Yeah, Rude's going to go through too. All right, that settled up front. At the line, a Rooster Hall BMW 1-2 at Watkins Glen. And Johan Schwartz sweeps the weekend. The crew elated, and I know somebody back in Denmark who's elated too. Johan said to say, hey, Moet. And boy, did he earn this one. Another great run. Nice run by Jacob Rude, Cal, up into 4th. And, oh, I mean, Ricka's car laid down so badly, Evans was able to sneak through and take the 5th spot. What a problematic last couple laps for Rick after showing such speed.
Yeah, it's almost like he's out of gas or something. He wasn't getting. Just heard a bobble up through the S's there from the camera.
So, on their cool-down lap, a Rooster Hall BMW 1-2 and the Nissan of Paul Terry in 3rd. And I'm sure Jeff Rika and that crew are just gutted because they were so excited as that last lap started with how close he was. And then to have that issue happen. Boy, he has shown why when Jeff Rika and that Gen Racer team shows up, why they are so much fun to have run in this championship. And if there was a linkage, if it was related to that earlier linkage issue, if that failed, he would have been stuck in a gear possibly. But I heard that sound too, like there was something else.
Like that
maybe,
was more power related to me,
yeah.
just looking at it on that last lap.
So Johan, that yellow Sabel glove out the window as he's waving to all the workers and fans here. And boy, that in terms of the points, this has been a massive weekend for Johan. And do you think, you look back at it, Toby Grahovic never cracked the top 10. He didn't get a point again today, Cal.
I know, it's tough.
Very tough.
In a tough last 3 rounds, Toby knocking on the door, looking for that first victory. Almost had it at Portland. And that contact in race 2 there really destroyed his championship hopes. Had to rebound here this weekend. It just hasn't gone his way. Still 100 points on the board. 2 doubleheader weekends, but Johan's almost sealed the title.
Yep. It's looking mighty good at this stage. And Strymer, like you said, it sure looked like if he could have ever gotten around Schwartz, he may have had the pace to have driven away just a little bit. But you don't force Johan into many mistakes.
No, he was comfortable knowing that it was his teammate sitting right on his tail and just managed it perfectly. Case of what could have been, really, with Paul Terry. I don't understand the roller coaster of performance with that Nissan here in this race. Obviously, Ricker had some technical issues which affected him.
Johan Schwartz brings the Rooster Hall BMW down into the victory circle area with Steve Strymer, his teammate, in 2nd. That's a nice day when you go 1-2 for the team. And then Paul Terry will have that Nissan there in the 3rd spot. There is a look at Steve Strymer and that Strymer sheet metal entry.
He's happy.
Just a fabulous run for him, no question.
That was great. That was, I mean, I know he's won races before that, but that was a superb performance by Steve today.
There's Eric and Johan having a bit of a celebration here after another well-judged drive. Interesting to hear what Johan says about the pressure that Strymer was putting on him. As you said, he knew he wasn't going to take him out, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't concerned about it. Ryan, celebrations are well underway.
It is a big celebration for sure, and well-deserved, Johan Schwartz. A 1-2 for the team, but a lot of pressure for you throughout that race. You had your teammate in your mirrors the whole time. How'd you keep him behind you?
Well, I was trying to do the best that I could, just playing a little, going where I needed to go, and then being a little conservative where it was a little harder to pass. It was a great run. I know Richard Zollman and Colleen is watching this race, and they're in Chicago. And Richard, we are cheering for you. This is for you, buddy. And Colleen, you are such a strong woman. I'm proud of you. the whole Rooster Hall team is so proud of those guys. And then we have a guest from Instrumarts out today, one of our sponsors, and West Virginia University that puts that whole thing. This crew just gave me the perfect car. We made some few changes from yesterday, and then it just clicked today. And little cold track out there in the beginning, so it was scary to lead the way, kind of where there was grip, but it worked out well, and it was awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, pretty solid weekend, no question. Let's take a look at the provisional results for this 10th round of the championship. The podium, Schwartz, Streimer. The sweep for Rooster Hall with Paul Terry in third, and Jacob Rude right at the end able to slip back through, pick up fourth, and Cameron Evans, completes the top 5. Then Jeff Ricca, who had that problem on the last lap after being so quick. So problems there. But at the start of the race, Johan timed it to perfection, and Ricca, who started outside Cal, did get a great start and allowed Streimer through.
He has a really solid race for Steve Streimer. Good start there. Paul Terry, slow initially, then he caught fire in terms of his pace.
Yeah, and you can see the early part here is he had Cameron Evans come slide through. Little touch there. Both of them able to make it work. And then Jeff Ricca, after dropping way back, Cal, and had that shift linkage problem, figured out some sort of a drive around, and he started a charge.
He did, and that last lap was awesome. He caught right up on the tail of the leaders with 1 lap to go. Then had technical issues. This was a big moment. A lot of scrambling here. Zellers just goes a little bit wide through the grass, and everyone takes advantage of that situation and moves her back in the pack a bit further.
And then this move by Ricca, and it surprised us both that Terry left that little bit of an opening, and Ricca filled it and was able to make it stick as they got into the inner loop. But then the car laying down just a little bit, and in the second to last corner, Terry diving underneath. Jeff Ricca would come through too, but Schwartz and Streimer sweep for Rooster Hall and BMW at the Glen.